The Unaccompanied Children Program. On March 1st, 2003, the Homeland Security Act of 2002 transferred the responsibility of care and the placement for children who were unaccompanied from the Commissioner of the Immigration and Naturalization Service to the Director of the Office of Refugee Resettlement, or Unaccompanied Children Program. This program is a part of NCMEC, or the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. The Unaccompanied Children Program supports the following: anyone under the age of 18, those who are eligible for foster care, children who spent at least 2 months in the Office of Refugee Resettlement, those who have been unintentionally or intentionally separated from their parents, other relatives, or specific adult responsible for them. This program resides under the Office of Refugee Resettlement within the Administration for Children and Families. Children migrate to the United States without illegal paperwork and are placed on hold. The children are taken into care until their cases are resolved under the U.S. immigration law or have been released to a foster family or family members.
So, as far as relevance to justice and commitment to diversity in this program, the UCP does not discriminate based on ethnic, social, or environmental factors, and they take custody of these children regardless of race, gender, or country of origin. So, looking over this chart on the right, that shows us all of the countries of origin that the UCP accepted custody of children from in 2022. So, lots of children from Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Mexico, and then that dark yellow portion, the 8%, represents all other countries that children were accepted from the UCP. So they also make efforts to be aware of cultural affiliations and help the children to understand what is happening to them by providing resources in their native language. You know, most of these kids are coming from troubled or stressful backgrounds, or at least the journey to the United States would have been filled with some level of trauma, most likely. And due to social, political, and economic factors, many citizens of the US do not support immigrants entering the country, whether that is a perceived threat to the economy, perceived carriers of disease, or risk to national security. This is all despite the children going through a thorough screening process before entering the United States. So during this time of high tensions, the UCP is critical in providing these vulnerable children with an advocate.
All right, so the first slide I'm going to be covering is the relevance to the organization's work of at least one portion of the NASA Code of Ethics and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. One that this program really highlights on is the importance of human relationships, meaning that social workers understand the relationship between people and that they're an important vehicle for change. It allows them to engage with people as partners in the helping process. And Article 7 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is the right to protect, basically stating that every child, regardless of where they come from or who they are, has the same rights as anybody else. And these two concepts are completely imperative to the Unaccompanied Children's Program. They work with so many children around the world, with so many children with different needs, and this program allows them to provide the proper care for these children, and these two codes also make social workers responsible for finding the correct care for them. Secondly, I will be discussing and evaluating the program's impact on Black, Indigenous, people of color, people with disabilities, and other historically oppressed and marginalized populations. Children who are Black, Indigenous, or a person of color may be affected by different components of this program. One of these problems being the lack of representation, which can harm the child culturally, and the waiting periods that they may experience based off of foster home availability. How the program is addressing this is they are hiring staff from many different cultural backgrounds. This will allow children to adjust better. They'll have someone to look to about cultural needs, someone that relates to them, as well as they are promoting and teaching about foster homes and how becoming a foster family is really important and impactful, and they do provide those resources to help people become a foster family if they want to. Ultimately, this program works really hard to help every child they can, regardless of their cultural background or their ethnicity, and that's something that is really important.
Culture is the reason why we have the unaccompanied children in the first place, as well as the rational choice theory. So the culture in the children's home country is so bad that they choose to come to America's culture because they feel like it's safe. And they do this because of the rational choice theory, which states that children choose the choice that makes the most sense with the least likelihood of a bad outcome and the greatest likelihood of a good one. This is the whole reason why we have this program, is because children choose to flee their culture and they feel like it's going to be safe. That's the creation of the program, but it also means that we have an influx of immigrant children which have entered the country, and it has gotten greater as more time has gone by. We've had more kids, which means that our resources are stretched thin, and we don't have enough lawyers to support all of them. There are two big historical contexts for the Flores versus Reno case. Eventually, Flores lost the case, but it did create awareness for how immigrant children were treated and set the Flores Settlement, which is a national standard for how the children should be treated. In 2008, George W. Bush practiced the Trafficking Victims and Protections Act, and this changed a lot of things, including asylum changes and changing of tests and the right to lawyers.